Well, welcome to this episode of Sooner Legends podcast. I'm your host, Mike the Legend. I am back from the dead. I have risen, and I'm back in full force. Got my boys on here. Got Bishop Frank. Got my boy Jason Watkins from Hall of Fame Media. If you don't mind and you love college football, especially our Oklahoma Sooners, pop out, hit that red subscriber button like it owes you gas money. Turn on your post notification bell. That way you won't miss any of this goodness. Share this video, y'all. Share it because sharing is caring. Guys, what's up? Talk to me. How you been?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on, family? Hey, another
Oh,
good day in Sooner Land at the
yeah.
Palace. So,
Yeah, man,
Well,
it
I
was a,
hate
it was a good day out there, but obviously hated hearing about uh why we're here. But I'm glad to be here
yeah,
on the show there with you,
absolutely.
Legend. So thanks for having me.
Yeah,
not a
thanks for
problem,
having us.
Jason. Well, like my title says, I got Bishop here and Jason here to kind of hold me up because this one is this loss hits me hard. Not only was he my first OU hero, but I got to know him on a personal level, Leon Crosswhite, and Leon was a very very humble man. He really did. From the year or so I got to visit with him, he was just I. I'm not talking a man crush here, but he was a sweetheart, real absolute sweetheart, gentleman through and through, big country boy from Hennessy, Oklahoma. And I'd like to share with y'all some memories of Leon when I first became a Sooner fan, and he he was he was in the first edition of the Oklahoma Wishbone that Barry Switzer introduced to Chuck Fairbanks. It was Jack Mildren quarterback, Leon as fullback, Greg Pruitt running back, and Joe Wiley and Roy Bell split time at tailback. Now, guys, y'all have heard me, and in the chat, y'all have heard me talk that the Selman brothers set the standard for defensive line at OU. No doubt. To me, Leon set the standard for fullbacks at OU, especially, more especially that OU, that wishbone. And if you really wanted to see what Leon was all about, go check out the 1972 Sugar Bowl. It's on YouTube. But he scored a touchdown and he made some good runs. But whenever Wiley or Bell or Greg Pruitt was sprung for long yardage, look who was blocking. Leon Crosswhite. And when Leon would get the ball, he was just your typical fullback. There wasn't no juking and jiving. He just got the ball in his arms, he put his head down, and he'd run over you. I mean, and you try to take that ball out of them big meat hooks. But but anyway, he was set. He was one of our, like I said, of that first edition. Wishbone Leon was part of it, and he was such a fabulous man on the field. I mean, Chuck Fairbanks raved about him. I remember interviews on when they was like when Greg would get or Joe or Roy would get sprung, he'd say, "Well, did y'all see that block Leon through?" But that was his prowess. I mean, he was 6'1", 215, 216 pounds, and he was from that Hennessy farm country. He hauled hay, farmer. If you remember that song, Big Bad John from Jimmy Dean, he was broad shouldered and narrow to hip. He really was. But and in the later years, I got to uh, I got to have breakfast with Leon, and me and him had some what we call toolbox talk. You know, and the thing about Leon is he didn't rest on. I would say, Leon, you were such a dang good fullback. He said, but this was Leon's words. I had other players around me that made me good. I didn't make myself good. And during our tour, and I even asked him, Leon, what do you think about? And this was at the time when BV took the team over as head coach, blah, blah, blah. And I said, Leon, what do you think about BV taking over OU? And he said, well, I'll tell you what, Mike. He said, BV's got his work cut out for him. He's got an empty plate, an empty cupboard to work with. But he said, if there's a better man for the job other than BV, I ain't seen it. So, and he was a Sooner through and through. He loved Oklahoma no matter how bad or how good. You know, he loved Oklahoma. He was a real good family. His family just adored him. His great niece that messaged me told me just, you know, she told me stuff that I didn't know about Leon. And he loved his family. He was married twice. His first wife, they got married in 70 or something like that. She passed away after they had been married for a couple of years. And then his last wife, they was married from 72 to 2014. So he was a devoted Christian, loved the Lord, loved talking about the Lord, owned his own lawn care service. So he was just a great man, fellas. I mean,
yeah.
I'm trying to find words for Leon. I mean, because
well, let me talk about some of his. I can give you a couple of those. You said give me his overall yardage because I was struggling with that, but give me his end yardage. But I got a couple of games I wanted to bring up to you to see if you remembered them.
He had just a minute. Let me pull this up. I had it pulled up, fellas. Give the old legend a second. Let's see. Here we go. Right here. While he was at OU, he in 458 carries, he had 2,119 yards and 11 touchdowns, and his longest was 39 yards, and his yard average was 4.6, which 4.6, that's pretty common for a fullback.
That's pretty damn good.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So,
yeah.
And he had,
I think, go ahead. Sorry.
And he had 8 100-yard plus games.
Okay. So in 4 years, so I remember, it feels like I remember you telling me about this game, 1972 Sugar Bowl versus Penn State, 22 carries, 82 yards and a touchdown. And the touchdown that he had was late in the game and extended the lead to 14-0 for Oklahoma to go on and win that game. So opportune time for him to get the football and get that done. I'm seeing the 72 blowout over Kansas. 56-10 win. He has 2 rushing touchdowns, one of 39 yards, one of 24.
Yes, sir.
And then let's see, he had Oklahoma State game. One of his 100-yard games in 72, 27 carries, 106 yards. So that was huge. And then the game of the century was the other one that I was looking at here. He didn't have any touchdowns, but he had 12 carries and 59 yards in that game. Obviously a big historic game that I believe you were at that game, weren't you?
I was at that game. That was my first OU game I ever attended.
So there you go. I mean, this is a guy that he's a true Sooner legend. You know, this is a guy that made up. He wasn't Joe Washington or some of those other guys that he ran and blocked for, but he was certainly an important piece of that machine that churned out yards and really kind of set control of the football game from start to finish for those Sooners teams. Under obviously, when you had Chuck Fairbanks, and then going into Coach Switzer,
Yeah.
and just that dominant era of Sooner football. He was at the peak of that, right? Or at the start of that anyway.
Yeah. He was in what you youngsters would call Generation 1 wishbone. Gen 1.
Yeah. 1.0. He was wishbone 1.0.
1.0.
Yeah. But I've heard Jack Mildren talk several times when he was still alive, and Jack was on with Al Ash back in the afternoon on the Sports Animal, and I heard Jack many times talk about Leon, and he said, and especially on when I'd run a quarterback keeper and I'd get sprung loose in the backfield, he said Big Leon was, and this was Jack's exact words, he said Leon was knocking the hell out of people. But he's really,
that's the start of the violent era there for the
There it
Sooners,
is.
They get down and dirty.
Yeah. And and we can all sit there and say, Jason and Bishop, that was a different era, blah blah blah, but it was the era that started this OU stuff, and at that time when Leon was playing, there was only one Selman brother on the defensive line, and that was Lucius.
Right.
And then you had Derlin Moore, who would mean and nasty. Nebraska hated him. but no, Leon. Leon, he was up whenever they would interview him, and back then, I want you to know, chat. Back then, we didn't have the TV like we have nowadays. We only got 2 games a season on TV, and that was OU Nebraska, OU Texas, or we would get a third game in the early season if it was like against Southern Cal or against some. But other than that, we only, and then if we had a bowl game. So when we couldn't watch it on television, we listened to it on the radio with Mike Treps, and and I can't tell you how many times Leon's name was mentioned. God, man, just and Jason, Bishop, stats speak for themselves. They really do.
Absolutely.
And, for a fullback to have that many yards, that's amazing to me. It really is.
Absolutely. And if you think about it, we always talk about the Sooner magic. Just think what Mike Legend is letting you know. He was a foundational piece of what really is the roots of Sooner magic. Someone doing the unsung hero who does their job, but was big in his moments.
Yes. I mean,
big in his moments.
And this is what I try to bring to y'all, because, when y'all hear the birth of Sooner magic, the light of Joe Washington, and I was witness to that. That is something I'm proud of as a Sooner. All these greats you hear talking about in Sooner lore I'll say from 1970 through the 80s, I was part of that. And I just try to bring this, as you say, Jason, evergreen, because that is part of Sooner history. I mean, without the history of the Sooners of my time, and through this, you wouldn't have the Oklahoma Sooners. So that's what I bring to y'all. Try to bring to y'all is the history, what made the Sooners, why is OU hated? Why are we held to such a great standard? Because I watched the standard being born with the Wishbone, the Selmans, Joe Washington, Billy Sims, Kenny. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And Leon Crosswhite is pretty much in my top two. As and like I said, there's people out there that has better stats than him, but he was part of that foundation that was laid for Sooner greatness and things to come. That I don't know if I worded that correctly, but
No, that was great. I think that was a fantastic. Like kind of what Bishop said too is that this is a foundational piece of what makes Oklahoma a legendary college football program. Was guys like this, that whether they were the big stat getters or the headline guys or not, which there's only a couple of those guys. You think of the dudes that their name kind of transpires the entirety of it, right? And you start thinking about like the modern time, nobody's going to forget about Baker, right? Nobody's going to forget about guys like Gerald McCoy or Tommy Harris or AD, right? And you're not going to ever forget about the Selman brothers either. But if you talk to one of those guys, they're going to talk to you about those guys that were those unsung heroes that got it done at opportune times, or sprang for a big block, or had a big touchdown at the right time, or had a big tackle to save the game, right? And that's what, in reading about him and hearing you talk about him, that's what Leon was. Leon Crosswhite was one of those dudes that he was going to always make, whether or not it showed up in the box score or not, it didn't really matter. He was going to leave everything on the field, no matter what, for that football team to win, right?
yes,
And that's what Sooner Magic really is. We talk about the magical moments, but that magic doesn't happen unless you're all on the same page, pushing the same button.
that's right, Jason. You are exactly right, brother. I've told you two this, but I'd like to share it with the chat. Back when I was little, I figured out that and I got an allowance, but I figured out something. You could take those green stamps and you could cash them in for stuff. So my mama, when she would go to the grocery store, for how many dollars she spent at the grocery store, she'd get so many S&H green stamps. Daddy owned his own truck, so whenever he'd stop for fuel, how many ever gallons of fuel he'd get, he got green stamps. Also, when Daddy was in off the truck, they was on a bowling league, which they were damn good bowlers. Hell, both of their bowling bags was full of green stamps. So I said, Mama, instead of giving me money in allowance, how about give me my allowance in green stamps? And she said, why? And I said, because you can still buy stuff. So I sat all day with that green tongue, and I bought. Do y'all remember them Kent cheap plastic toy football sets that come with them cheap plastic pads and the helmet?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I got me one of those. My grandfather painted my helmet red, and then he stenciled in OU, and then they had the old iron-on letters and numbers. And Mama said, okay, Mike, what number you want? I said, 17 and 25. She said, son, you got to have the same number. I said, One day I want to be Leon Crosswhite, and the next day I want to be Grant Burgett. Because it was actually I always put Leon first and Grant Burgett as second as my family. But I can't tell you, with that cheap Kent football set, how many national championships I was either Leon Crosswhite or Grant Burgett in the backyard.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
And that's when those are the days that we fell in love with the game,
Yeah.
And I think back to that 85 team. That was the year that I kind of fell in love with Sooner football. I mean, my dad was always watching it as long back as I can remember, but the year that, it's, the Boz and, and you had another one of those guys on your show too, that,
Derek
White from, the secondary guy and he was a bad dude. I remember him. And then, but it was, I mean, Jamel Holloway, and obviously just what he was to that team. You know, I remember when Eggman got hurt and Jamel just, you know, he was what a breath of fresh air for that
Yeah.
football team, and they won the national championship because of that. He's the reason that I started loving Oklahoma football and would sit down with my dad and watch the game at
Yeah.
that point. You know, and I'm what 8, 9 years old at that point.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Well,
so
Jason, you was talking about the magic moments in
yeah,
that made Sooner magic. Well, think back to that 85 season. There was a safety that anytime we needed a clutch play on defense, he come through, and that's Sonny Brown. He had an interception or a big hit, or it was
yep,
usually an interception. That guy was all over the place.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's and I see when you bring names up. I always remember my dad saying something about certain guys, and you know, you may not remember exactly what it was that he said, but man, that's some bitch. You know, and you know, country guys, you know, he had some of them country sayings. You know, he hit you so hard, you know, you taste it and stuff. You know, just weird stuff that they'd say. He's like, you know, like a legendism or whatever. But you know, it just, you know, they say crazy stuff, but those are the things that you remember. It's why you cared about it. You know. Why it made it even the stuff negative that they might say about them when they didn't win or whatever like
Yeah.
that. You know, those are the things that endeared you to the Oklahoma program and made you love them. And then, you know, with us, it was a family thing. Our entire families loved the Sooners, you know,
Yeah.
Right.
and so it's kind of a rite of passage for you to do the same thing. But yeah, listen, I think it's amazing that you were able to spend the time. This is a guy that was your hero, and you got to spend time. A lot of people say don't meet your heroes, but you met your hero and spent time with him and loved it. And what an amazing thing and a tribute for you to be able to give to him here to talk about him tonight. And you know, my heart goes out to the family, goes out to
Yeah.
Sooner
Absolutely.
Nation. You know that we're losing one of the great ones now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Well,
so,
go ahead.
yeah,
Go
what I
ahead, man.
wanted to share with the family, how we all are here, is this is why you're so important, Legend. Is that a lot of us, we didn't get the privilege. Some of us weren't born at that time, but if what you allow us to do is see what the foundation, why we are so enrooted into that Sooner magic, and
Yeah.
understanding back in those days that, you know, understanding that the type of fortitude they had to be, and they had to be one unit pulling on the same rope. And it goes back to they were forged by fire by literally trusting one another and doing their job. And each one did their job to the utmost because they didn't want to let their teammates down.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that is what Sooner Magic, the root of it, is trusting the process and doing what comes naturally in a tight situation to where you pull on it so much that you believe past what everybody is thinking at that time that you can do. So I
And
just wanted to
Amen.
appreciate, give Legend his flowers, how we got this moment, man, because it's been a minute, and Legend, we missed you, bro.
oh, I'm back now. I would like to share a story with you though. In 1970, uh, which the formation that Chuck Fairbanks ran at OU before the wishbone was the Houston Beer. It was an option
Mhm.
type offense.
Right,
So and we sucked to high heaven. Good God, I mean, we stunk it up.
right.
So Coach Switzer had been studying Coach Royal's wishbone, and he goes to he and before the King went to Fairbanks, the King talked to the other assistant coaches and said, "Look, we are behind on offense. You look at Daryl Royal's wishbone at Texas. He said it he said, I can make that happen. So he approached, and they was the whole damn coaching staff was fixed to get fired too. Because I mean, that's how we was last in the Big 8 in yards, everything. I mean, last. So Coach Coach Switzer goes to Chuck Fairbanks. He said, "Look, Coach," he said, "we're all going to get fired anyway." He said, "Let's put in this wishbone." He said, "What have we got to lose?" Well, I can't remember the coach that Coach Fairbanks was so tight with. He coached at Michigan, but anyway, Coach calls him, and they was up all night, and finally, he told Chuck Fairbanks. He said, "Chuck," he said, "I would go to that offense that your coaches are so talking about, but," he said, "once you go to it, do not look back. Don't go back to nothing." Well, long story short, they got beat by Texas that year, and that was the last year that a Barry Switzer team was ever beat by Darrell Royal as coach. Not by Texas, but by Darrell Royal. But anyway, they went from last in the Big 8 in 1970 to number 1 in the Big 8 the end of that year with the wishbone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. And it's, did you watch the Wishbone 30 for 30 recently? When they had that on?
Yeah.
That was awesome stuff. But I mean, and it's something that Texas fans, and I love this shit. I mean, the fact that Darrell Royal helped them understand it and taught it to Barry Switzer like that. And then, and then he just, well, and it wasn't just Coach Royal. It was the coach that ended up over there at Mississippi State.
Yeah, Campanelle.
Yeah. So it was, but that was, that still just drives them crazy to this day because that's like, giving over the plans to the Death Star to the damn Empire right there. If you're Texas, you know what I mean? If you're Texas, you just screwed that up.
Yeah.
But so I guess I could say that better. You're giving it over to the rebellion, to the plans of the Death Star, because we ain't the bad guys. So anyway, yeah. But go ahead.
And that year, 1970, we played and tied Alabama. And do y'all remember the Blue Bonnet Bowl at the Houston Astrodome?
I've heard a little bit about it.
Tell me about it.
Well, I mean, it was one of the. It wasn't a major bowl like you would think, but
I remember because of a different situation. I'll tell you about it later, but tell me more. Go ahead.
But we played Alabama in 1970, and I hate to bring this up, but and you remember in 1970 we had all that racial tension in the South. Blah, blah, blah.
Correct.
And Coach Bear Bryant, he didn't have a black player on his team. Not until he seen Greg Pruitt. Greg Pruitt so impressed him that 71 season, he switched to the wishbone and had a couple of black players on his team. That's how impactful Greg Pruitt and just this whole OU DNA that's how impressed the almighty Bear was.
That's crazy. And it took about that long until Texas integrated as well.
Correct.
It sure did.
Yep.
It sure did.
Long after integration that they finally did integrate that football program.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And but like I said, I love telling these stories, like Greg Pruitt. And also that in 73, no, it's 71. we beat the monkey snot out of USC. And they had the almighty Sam Bam Cunningham.
Yeah.
Pat Hayden, Lynn Swan. I mean, you had some all-pro guys on that team, on that USC team. Well, the week before they played at Norman, that whole week, Coach Switzer made Greg wear a shirt to class. On the front, it said hello, and on the back, it said goodbye. And he was, he was giving bulletin board material. And Coach Switzer told him, he said, well, when USC comes down here Saturday, you better damn well be hello and goodbye. But we
No
won
kidding.
that. And if y'all remember Sam Bam Cunningham, he wasn't no joke
Yeah.
at all.
Well,
Yep.
I remember hearing about him. I wasn't quite born yet, but what I remember is that's the brother of Randall Cunningham,
Yes.
of course.
Yes.
Who is a Hall of Famer and one. I mean, he's the guy that I remember as that first black quarterback that you were just like, whoa,
Yeah.
you know, this dude
Yeah.
is like at the NFL level that just he kind of transcended the time, because it took a long time before that it was normal to have a black quarterback in the NFL.
Correct.
You know, and now
I tell you
it's not a big deal anymore, and I'm glad that it isn't as big a deal anymore.
Me too.
Right.
But it took way too long to integrate that. But
I know.
as good as Randall was, it sounds like everything I've heard is that his brother was even better at his time.
And remember Bear Bryant, when Sam Bam and USC came to town and they put a thumping on Bear Bryant, that was the last straw that pushed him over the edge to where he was going to go ahead and bring back black players onto his team, because he said it's been far too long. It's time for us to realize that the game is changing. And he made that switch. But it's because of Sam Bam.
It took a long time for him to get the boosters and the people at Alabama to agree to it. But it was those things. To me, that was the greatness of Bear Bryant. Wasn't just the wins, right? It was the fact that he was willing to do it before others. He knew what he could and couldn't get away with. Like, I think the biggest story that I remember for him was what was the guy's name? Condredge Holloway, that played quarterback at Tennessee. He was gonna go to Alabama, but he wasn't gonna, he was like, there's no way I can play you at quarterback. So go to Tennessee and play for this coach. I think you will. I mean, you gave away probably the best quarterback in the country at that time to one of your fiercest rivals because you knew that you couldn't play him there. That transcends winning and losing right there. Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It meant more. It meant more to Bear Bryant. I've got more respect for Bear Bryant for things like that than any of the wins, right? Any of the wins.
Yeah.
Yeah. They was ready to run him out of town for all that. Run him out of Tuscaloosa.
If it hadn't been for winning them natties, they would have ran his ass right out of town, right?
I just gonna say, winning solves a lot.
Well, y'all talking about me being a legend. I mean, I had no choice but to love OU. My daddy grew up during the Bud Wilkinson era, and then my two grandfathers during the Benny Owen era. So I had no choice.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, my grandfather, he was friends with Benny Owen. Real good friends.
That'll work, man.
Yeah. So.
Hey, Trojan Fight says, go ahead and schedule a home and home. We haven't played since '92 outside of the championship game. Brother, let me tell you, there ain't an Oklahoma fan alive that would be against that.
Nope.
There's not an Oklahoma fan alive or dead that would be against that.
Nope.
Especially as long as Lincoln hangs around. Bring it on.
We would love to. Let's set it on the field, my brother.
Yeah, that'd be a blast. Lincoln would never agree to such a thing.
No.
But you can always dream.
Hey, we can dream.
Yeah, Trojan, he said LOL right on. I like Trojan Fight, though, for a USC fan. He's
good people, man.
He's good people.
He's good people.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah, I really do
like USCJ, man. USCJ,
Hey,
delusional with the love, man. But he's good people to me, man. He's
good
always
people.
real good people. USAJ is one. Hey, he's top notch. That's for sure.
He is. He is.
So
Oh, I do got another funny story about that 72 Sugar Bowl that we played Auburn. I think it was in the third quarter. Joe Wiley peels off a 78-yard kickoff return. And the Auburn players is going off the field. The player that was responsible for of Auburn that was responsible for Joe Wiley, he said, "Man, I had him," and his teammate said, "Man, you couldn't have caught him if he was riding a motorcycle."
yeah.
But y'all got to remember in that game, Auburn had the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback that year, Pat Sullivan.
Wow.
And they did run a pro set. But this is a name that will forever be stuck in your head. They had a wingback. Split in. His name was Dick Schmalls.
That poor bastard. Poor bastard. Golly.
Yep. Dick Schmalls. If y'all go back and watch, and I want you to hear.
I tell you that when I hear names like that, it makes me think of one of two things. Either their parents are completely clueless, right?
Or they hated them.
Or they hated that kid. So one of three things. They hated that kid, or they just had that kind of sense of humor.
Yeah.
And I thought his name was, because Dick is short.
It's like, Dick Trickle. I mean, who the hell names their kid Dick if their name is Trickle? Damn.
That's jacked up.
Me and Daddy, we went to that Sugar Bowl game, and when they introduced the Auburn player, because they used to do that on TV and on the loudspeaker, they'd have them standing out there. When they introduced Dick Schmalls, Daddy said one of two things: either that's the toughest little son bitch in college, or he gets stuffed in the locker every week.
Hey, that's jacked up. That's a name for you.
That's too damn funny, man.
Yeah, bro.
Poor bastard. You'd have to be a tough son bitch, man, to have that, because there's not a day goes by that you don't get hell for it.
Facts.
Could you imagine him on senior prom night with the girl in the back seat and his name's Dick Schmalls?
Yeah, and I mean, these are the kind of guys that they call it going postal or whatever. I mean, these are the dudes that commit mass shootings.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, man. Oh, that'd be jacked up.
Let's kind of flip the script now. You was at the spring game today.
Yeah.
Tell us what Mr. Jason Watkins saw at the spring game today. What you like, what you didn't like.
I saw a healthy dose of running the football, man, and I loved it. It was good to see it. I actually saw the counterplay run a couple of times, man, and man, I don't know I don't know what that really did. I don't know if I could say, but it had a couple of big plays, and just that, you're springing running back off of a play like that. Saw some formations that, where you got some 12 personnel and, running and even I think I was telling Bishop earlier, the offense definitely has Kevin Wilson's fingerprints on it now. You can see them.
Awesome.
You can see it because you've got two tight ends in and they're bunched up on one side where, the one where Rocky Beers, and I think Rocky Beers was impressive. Now he did have that fumble that, Man punched it out, but it was a nice little play and it was just a great play that Man made, but where he was lined up off the line of scrimmage as a slot. And then you had Hayden Hansen was in front of him on the line. So, And that was, and so then they motioned him out to the outside as the play was starting. And it looked like a nice little play, but at the end of the day, you saw a lot of that kind of stuff where they were getting out and kind of plowing the field. And then the offensive line, I mean, I know there's some concerns about depth, as far as depth that's seen a lot of playing time. I don't know that I'm overly concerned about the depth. I know it's something they're talking about, but it's, to me, I think your first unit looked really, really good. And I don't know that I'm as concerned about the second unit as a lot of people are, in view of the fact that we saw them do some good things against what I view as the best defensive line in America. The second unit's probably not going to go up against a line like that. You're not going to see many more lines like that in the country.
Yeah.
Right. So going against these guys is a good thing. I think it's going to be better than most people feel like it is. That
Awesome.
in and of itself is what I wanted to see, was just a commitment to the run game. They talked about it afterwards. I think they're certainly committed to that. Hard running. Hatton and Walker, those young running backs, both looked really good at times. Jonathan Hatton broke a couple of long ones, and then he had that touchdown run that he broke 3 tackles bombing into the end zone, Kind of cool to see. I mean, these young guys just keep getting better every year, it feels like.
Which one of the running backs you was talking about with Chris Mason that you said you will not arm tackle, Jason?
Hatton. Yeah,
Okay.
You arm tackle that guy, see how that goes. That ain't going to work. You got to stick your face in there and get it,
Yeah. Are they still going to throw in that doggone RPO stuff?
I didn't see a bunch of it today. No, it didn't feel like that. I mean, there might have been a little bit of it, but it's certainly not going to be the basis of what we do everything on.
Awesome.
Hey, Jason, here's a Trojan fact question for you. Would you say the run game was different than the RPO you guys saw?
Yes. Yeah, I think it is. It's definitely different. It's, I mean, I'm not saying there's not going to be some RPO. There's going to be some. I mean, because that's just modern football. But I also would tell you that you're going to see less of it. I think it's going to be more. You're going to see an awful lot more running. It looks like, or at least I hope that's what we signaled today, was that you're going to see a lot more emphasis on the running backs carrying the ball, and out of formations that'll help them be successful in doing so. When having guys out there, multiple tight ends, and and even for that matter, there's probably a couple of guys at the offensive line that you could stick in and run 13 personnel and stuff like that too with it. Add an extra lineman into the game to kind of spring some of those dudes in short yard situations. One thing I didn't see was them getting under center today. I don't know that you would see that necessarily in a spring game. But if they really wanted to get people excited, they'd have done it. But I didn't see that.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question to you. If Mateer got
Satterfield just asked the same thing, and no, I don't think I didn't. I'm not positive that that's a no, but I didn't see anything like that. Now, and you know what? I'm not saying that you won't see that either, though, because we saw Arbuckle do that from the I formation last year, early on, right? So it's not like it can't be done. And I think that, look, when you think about the fact that Kevin Wilson and Dalen McCullough are kind of, looks like they're kind of in charge of what's going to happen in the run game, and they're helping to at least design it and help Arbuckle with how to institute that into your game plan. And as long as Arbuckle stays open to these changes and to these enhancements, is what you should call it. I think that it could lead to huge things for Oklahoma. It really could. I told you earlier, Mateer looked better to me. I mean, he looked as good as you could look for now. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that's going to make anybody. I said this on my show earlier. Nothing that he did today, even if he looked like Tom Brady in the pocket today, it wasn't going to matter to any of us until he does it under the gun again in week 4 against Georgia.
Yeah.
Or week 2 against Michigan. But what he did today. It looks like it's something that he's working on, which is all that we can hope for at this point, is that those mechanics look better. His feet were underneath him. He was setting his feet, throwing the ball more of a over the shoulder, type look. He missed a few here and there, but he certainly looked a little more, and he definitely looked like he had a little more confidence. Again, it's a spring game, so I don't want to put too much into it.
Right.
But
Right.
you asked me what I liked the most about it. It was the fact that they ran the ball and ran it well.
Yeah. Well, just listening to you and Chris Mason today, 3 of my boxes were checked, which was the O-line, the running game, and y'all got to see Mateer actually working on his mechanics and everything. How did I got to know, Jason? How's Witten doing with these tight ends? Everything is advertised?
Yeah, man. Yeah, they get it. They look like they get it. It was something I think John Mateer's press conference, when he was in the press conference and talking, he was talking about how the attention to detail that was there and just how good they are. That these guys they're lows, man. It's like I said, Rocky Beers feels like he may not be bigger on paper than what Hayden Hansen is on the field. He looked like the bigger guy to me.
Yeah.
And so, but both of them are monsters, right? They're just big dudes.
Yeah.
So, we're talking 6'6", 6'7". These are big boys that got a little meat on their bones too, and they can run. And they were definitely plowing the field, and so I felt like that was, and it only seems like it's going to get better as long as this guy's here. I mean, this is a dude that's a Hall of Fame tight end. A lot of love for him around the country. People remember him. Their parents remember him, and it makes a lot of sense recruiting wise while he's going to get guys like this. But you can see his stamp on it. It's been a while since we've seen. I go back to like Braden Willis, and I'm a fan of the guys that we've had the last couple of years. I'm not trying to hate on them. I think they were put in bad positions, and
Right.
in for a lot of reasons. And then there's been, like Caden Helms. I mean, that guy's a stud, but he was hurt a lot, and like injuries, and there's a lot of reasons behind that we can talk about. But at the end of the day, the production wasn't there that you needed to have there, and it appears like it should be back now, and only get better and better from here on out. So it certainly was a good start to it. You want to see more, but man, it's, I don't think that they fixed this running game in the way that we want them to fix it without Jason Witten and what he's doing.
Yeah. And
Right.
and like I said, I mean, y'all know I'm a diehard Dallas fan anyway, God bless me, but I've had known Dallas Cowboy haters that loved Jason Witten. Just, he was that type. You could hate the team all you wanted to, but as a player that Jason was, I mean, he is a hell of a tight end, 11-time All-Pro, went to the Pro Bowl numerous times. I mean, and who can forget when that Philadelphia Eagle player pulled his helmet off and he still got down to the 5-yard line in the red zone?
That's the epitome of toughness, right? I've never been a Cowboys fan, so I'm one of those people you were talking about. But I can remember that play like it was yesterday, and him, he running down the field like that and not giving a damn. And this is at a time where he had probably had more than one concussion by then.
Yeah, he had 3 or 4.
Yeah, definitely. And just think about this, though, gentlemen. At the opportune time to go into 2026, we let go of one and actually got him on board. At the time we really needed someone to solidify that so that we can go to the next level.
Exactly. And this is what I'm going to, and Bishop, I've talked with you until I've been blue and silver in the face. But during recruiting, Witten can go down there in Dallas Cowboy country. If there's a grade A tight end, his name alone is going to, with
That's
either
what I
their,
was saying. Yeah,
you know, so
and plus it sounds like they're being held to a standard that it didn't. You know, hey, look, man, and I don't want to. I'm glad that we are going away from this. Let's go after former Sooners as position coaches or whatever, because I'm not a fan of attacking Joe John and even Seth Luttrell and DeMarco and all this kind of stuff. You know, I don't like it. And, you know, we can say what we want to say about whatever, you know, and the facts are he wasn't getting it done. I'm not excusing what was happening in the tight end room. But I think it's just a matter of it was time for somebody else, a new voice in the room for sure, to get some production and stuff like that, you know. But I would tell you that everything we hear about, I mean, I remember talking to you. You were asking me if I thought it would be Witten, and at the time I didn't think so. But I didn't think it would be a problem if they did do it because of the fact of seeing him when he was trying his hand at broadcasting and those pre-production meetings, man. He talked like a coach, the game plan, and like he got it.
yeah,
And he's coached his team, that team that he had there in Dallas, to what, 2 or 3 state championships now.
yeah,
So
too. And I took them from in the toilet their first year, and I mean,
Right.
back to back state champions, and was in the running for as long as he was there. So
yeah,
and Jason, you and Bishop know it's harder than hell to play football in the Dallas Skyline DFW area.
Absolutely.
No matter what class you are.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I mean, and even if it, look, man, there's a lot of football players in that area, man. There's just a lot of dudes that play ball, and we all know that Texas high school football is there's other ones that are damn good, but I venture to say there's nothing that's better or deeper than Texas high school football.
Exactly.
You know, as far as how many there are that just are that good, and they just it's a way of life out there. It really is. And so these guys are good. He's going to be a great recruiter, I think. But more than that, he's going to also, when you see the development come along, I mean, he went out there and got the #1 tight end in the class that everybody thought was going to Notre Dame. And then there was a lot of talk about him going to Kentucky with Will Stein, and Oklahoma landed him. Oklahoma was never on this kid's radar.
Exactly.
You know, that is legit a huge feather in the cap right off the bat. Now you turn a couple of these guys into the NFL in the next couple of years, and now we got a chance to be, you know, to start doing things like what you've seen out of Georgia and Notre Dame over the past 5 or 10 years, where they're just putting dudes out from that position at tight end.
Yeah,
you know, so. You know, and it's getting back to the way that Oklahoma used to be, real with Keith and, you know, Jermaine Gresham and, guys like, I mean, you know, we've had some really amazing guys in our past as well. This is get us back to that, I think.
Well, I wanted to
go ahead, Bishop.
I wanted to bring up some of the unsung heroes on the defensive side. We got some young men that are stepping up. You got the Janbro 13 that was making plays out there. I saw him, and he's legit. Along with Man, Marion Robinson is him.
Oh yeah, Omarion Robinson. Omarion Miller is the right tackle, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, in Satterfield, that's who I meant. Man, he punched that ball out on Rocky Beers, and like, look, I mean, everybody will tell you need to hold on to that football, don't be fumbling it, blah blah blah. I get it, but that's just a hell of a play by Man.
Right.
You know, and you got to take. I mean, in these games, these spring games, you know, you look at it and you lose and win on the same play. You know what I mean? It's kind of, you got to be happy on one side and like damn it on the other, and it's tough. But yeah, dude, hey, that guy's a stud. I love seeing Nigel doing what he was doing.
Oh, he was tearing it up.
Yeah, dude, Nigel he's looking more and more like he's just gonna be a freaking dude, man. And Coach Venables was talking about him afterwards. Saw a lot of good stuff. I mean, we all love Mike Jr. Boganowski.
Yeah.
He was running around. He could have decapitated poor Bo Bentley if he wanted to, on that one
Yeah.
play. But he didn't, but he sure could have. And
Megatron looked good.
Who's that?
Christian Moore.
Oh yeah, Christian Moore. I didn't get to see a ton out of him, but we continue to hear good things about him, right?
Yeah.
We just continue to hear good things about him. But that D line was impressive. Trent, is it Smith, the second year guy, the guy that looks like he's 40 already?
Trent Wilson.
Trent Wilson.
Yeah.
That dude, bro, those guys are already, I mean, for Stoney and Jay Jackson to not be in the game and for them to still hold it down and look like they did with those two dudes, and that's huge, man. That's huge. And hey, I said this earlier on my show, on the show that I did with Mr. Mason. Hey, Danny Okoye is a problem.
He is.
He's about to be a big problem for the SEC.
Big one. Yeah, I was going to make a funny about Trent. He come out of the womb shaving.
No doubt.
Yeah, with a 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah, 5 o'clock
shadow.
When he came out.
I'm telling you, he looks like a truck driver right now.
I know.
Man. But hey, I also wanted to give a shout out to our corners. I'm telling you,
Sticky
is an understatement, Jason. I am telling you, this team here is on the verge of something. They're not there yet. I'm not saying that, but the nucleus of what they have, you imagine you don't have Dave Stone nor Jaden Jackson, and yet the two that's backing them up was you couldn't tell the difference that they weren't there. That is huge. Then we have our corners that are just flat out. You're getting a reception. That means you are doing something big because they are draped on folks.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, I'm telling you, man, there's no better time than right now to build the nucleus to do something major, but it's going to have to take one game at a time, though. And all I got to say is, look, competitive depth, I know at first it was just one of those things, but I, by doing the podcasting and looking at other national championship teams, a lot of their freshmen had like 19 to 25 reps. And we're on that trajectory right now. Mm-hmm. So there's a little saying to it has the foundation. It's up to BB and the staff and their fellas and Team 131 to make good on it. I'm just saying there's something there that's building. You just got to keep stacking the days.
When I was in the land of the dead, one thing that stood out to me, and this is where I knew that Ben Arbuckle was not playing around and that he's trying to right his wrong from last year. And that is before Mr. McCullough, Coach McCullough, even got out on the radar. OU had him snagged up. Come on. And I heard that was Ben Arbuckle.
They were waiting to find out whether he was going to be retained or not.
Yeah. And I heard that was Jim Nagy and Ben Arbuckle's getting together on that.
Venables had something to do with it too, yeah.
Oh, okay. But Arbuckle wasn't. But am I right? Arbuckle had a hand in that also.
I think so. I don't think that there's anybody in the country that wouldn't want to talk to him if you could. Dalen McCullough is highly respected, man.
Yeah. Everywhere he's been, they've been successful. So it's if
if this running game doesn't turn around, it would be a big surprise because it'd be the first time he didn't do it.
Yeah, because who's that? Who's that one running back y'all talk about all the time from Notre Dame that he?
Well, Jeremiah Love, and then
Jeremiah Love,
Audric Estime, Jeremiah Love, who's Jadarian
Genty
Price
with the Raiders.
Yeah, man.
So are we looking? Jason, you and I talked about this the other night. Our last 1,000+ yard rusher was Eric Gray.
Yeah.
And do you think we're going to start seeing some 1,000-yard with Coach McCullough?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that you're either going to have a 1,000-yard rusher and like maybe a 1,700 or a 700-yard guy or something like that, and then another guy that gets another 300 or something. I think you might see that, or you might see like 3 guys with like 700 yards or something like that, or you know what I mean? Like, kind of depends. But I think they want a lead dog, but I know that Dalen is certainly gonna. He likes to go with multiple backs, but when you find the guy that's the guy, then they're definitely gonna have you. He's gonna have you, kind of be featured or whatever. That's the way he did it there at Notre Dame, and like, you got to remember whenever he was with Wilson at Indiana, they had a 2,000-yard back.
Yeah, sure did. I forgot his name.
Wasn't it? Oh man, the name just slips my mind right now. Tevin Austin or
something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, this is at Indiana of all places.
Yeah,
before the Indiana we know today.
Yeah, and let me share something with you guys.
Go ahead.
Just think about Kevin Wilson and McCullum back together with Arbuckle, and them as a tandem, and then you add Jason Witten.
Yeah.
Woo.
Come on, you guys.
And let's not forget that Big Bill is
no disrespect. Yeah. Big Bill is the foundation.
Legendary. I mean, look, these are guys that, yes, I mean, as much as we talk about the all-star group of defensive coaches that they have, and we could bring, and I mean, I know people are kind of down on EJ lately for some stupid reason, but EJ's a bad dude too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I would say that,
to me,
yeah.
I think you're right. It's like I said, I definitely see, if I'm in, me, I'm the one that right now I'm a wait and see guy with Arbuckle. I'm not convinced.
Right.
I'm not convinced right now, but I also know that if Kevin Wilson likes him, and I believe he does, and they have a good working relationship that they can work together, and it'll go a long ways if he proves to be smart enough to listen to Kevin Wilson.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Jason, didn't you say today that there was some formations and whatnot that had Kevin Wilson's fingerprints all
over it, the whole day?
That's beautiful.
The whole day had Kevin Wilson's fingerprints on it to me.
And I
want to bring up something that I don't know if y'all picked up. Do you realize what type of D-line we had last year and how Bill Beatonbow stuck his neck out and had this freshman from that point, Tennessee on, had the freshman starting? And what dividends that now plays, because now you have redshirt sophomores and sophomores that are prime and ready and have experience to where they are comfortable at dominating. Mm-hmm. And they played against the #1 D-line in the SEC.
Which goes back to your famous saying, Bishop, iron sharpens iron.
Say it again.
Iron
for the people in the back.
For the people in the back, iron sharpens iron.
Absolutely.
And that's what I like about this team. When you go against the defense, the O-line and you go up against you know, that's giving you some. That's giving you some good. What am I looking for? What am I looking for? God
Mhm.
dang it!
Well, it's that experience that, well, you're going up against, it's just competitive, right? It's ultra competitive. And so I was thinking about, I was listening to one of the Alabama podcasts or something just recently. I mean, you know how they're always talking about their recent championships, all 6 of them, blah, 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 blah. And, but you hear a lot of those guys talking about the fact that, shit, these dudes are, they'll say things like, hey, it was hard. We had tougher times at practices than we did in the games.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
It was, our practices were harder than the games. And when you start seeing those things, and you're starting to hear rumblings like that now over the last year or so, that to where, and when the defense is finally, now the defense has been rebuilt back up, and now we're having to rebuild the offense back into what we were used to seeing out of it. But when you finally get that together and they figure it out, and I think it's definitely more competitive, that the offense was able to put up points today. I mean, they didn't dominate that defense, and the defense didn't dominate them. But there was times that you saw dominant traits out of all of them. Right? Dominant traits coming
Well
out
put.
of
Yep.
out of the offensive line and in the blocking, and some of these running backs that, like I said, for Jonathan Hatton, Chris Mason always talks about, it's one of those deals where if your dog's gonna bite, he bites as a puppy when they're running backs and receivers and stuff like that. And that's exactly what you're seeing with guys like DeZephan Walker and Jonathan Hatton. They're puppies, but they bite.
Absolutely.
So, I love seeing that stuff. And so, to me, I think the floor is being raised in Norman for sure. And maybe it ain't this year, maybe it is, but a national championship isn't too far away. It really isn't. It may be maybe they catch lightning in a bottle and do it this year. Maybe they don't. But the makings of it, the pieces are there. If I think we just got to be a little patient, a little more along, and we've got, and the coaching staff has to continue to build on what they've done now. You
Yes.
can't rest on it. You got to continue to get better. And I think that they're doing that. I think that that's definitely what they want to do as well. So, but I think these are the, when you start hearing those things that, man, that our practices are competitive. It's tough,
Mm-hmm.
And bro, that's real shit,
How's this new strength and conditioning coach working out that took Schmidt's place?
They love him. Apparently they love him. Not getting as many soft tissue injuries either. It doesn't sound like.
Right.
Well, that's and God bless Smitty. I mean, thank you for your service, sir. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
He'll always go down as a legend. But man,
Sure. But listen, man, everybody has their day in the sun, and then it's over with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say this about James Dobson is that we got our young freshman, Mr. Hatton, 6'1", 231.
That's a big puppy, bro.
That's
Yes.
our running back.
Yes.
Holy Moses!
At that speed.
That's like, and you know what? X Rob is like that too, dog.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and say it now. God bless Jim. Bringing in Jim Nagy was a godsend. It really was.
It's a big move.
I mean,
it's a big move. If
it was a
continues
huge move.
in the way it's going, it's a huge move.
Oh, Jason, let's address this. Owen Heineke getting the standing ovation at the Sprint today.
Absolutely.
Loved
Definitely.
it. Came
Loved
out
it.
to Mini Man.
Oh, that was classic.
I love
Jason,
it.
me and Bishop talked about this earlier today. I wonder how much influence with our new athletic director having been in the NCAA, I wonder how much influence of his was used to get Owen Heineke his final year of eligibility.
No. I mean, they had to go to court over it, so I don't think a bunch
That's
had to
true.
do with that.
Yeah.
So, but I tell you what, they were prepared.
That's what I was going to say.
I was in the courtroom. They did I tell you what, that attorney is a superstar.
Owen Heineke's.
Yeah, Miss Cooper.
Oh, did she make them have a come to Jesus meeting?
Yeah, she was talking some shit.
Do you know that's the second time in Sooner history we have beat the NCAA at their own damn game?
Doesn't surprise me. I mean, you're prepared and you go get it done. And here's the deal. You can say what you want about the bias in the courtroom or whatever the hell. Everything that I've heard about that judge, and he was quiet. He wasn't one to interject himself into it a lot. He listened. I mean, at the end of the day, they didn't call a witness, not a single one. Again, this is the same thing that I saw from him. It's one of the main attorney was the same guy that was in the Chambliss case. Same thing. They didn't call a witness to the stand. They didn't really have anything to stand on. And the truth was they uncovered some information, like K. Chris would tell you, they uncovered some information out of that deal that the bottom line is the NCAA lied about it.
Oh, wow.
Straight up lied about it. So the medical information that hadn't been disclosed, that they said wasn't brought up and sent with his waiver packet, they said it wasn't there. There was 170 pages in there that they said wasn't there. Then there was also there was a case that of a volleyball / basketball women's player, that same deal. Basically it was all the same except for one played football and lacrosse and the other one was a woman. And this was just in October of last year. And they rubber stamped it and sent her on and let her play another year of hoop or volleyball or whatever it was. I don't remember exactly. But at the end of the day, and that was supposed to be, it wasn't in their file so that their schools could use that as a precedent so that you wouldn't even have to take it to court. That's how stupid that is, by the way. And then the other part was something that I was just thinking about that nobody really brought this up, but I caught it when they were talking was that you had, what was it? Dang it. Oh, I just lost my train of thought. I'll think about it in a second. Anyway, there was but just essentially what it amounted to me, I believe that they're not. Oh no, they talked about, she brought it up in there. Nobody's really brought this up, that she showed a paper from the committee on for that stuff, that as a general rule, they had decided as a committee to immediately deny all these requests for a waiver. And this was within the last year or so. Nobody really brought this up, but that we were talking about that in the first half of the day. That so automatically they were saying no without even looking at any of the information.
Ooh.
And so not only, but I think, and this is what Ms. Cooper was talking about. Not only did they do that, but they also didn't look at any of the information that came with it, because they claimed that no medical records were in there with him, talking about 2022. There was 170 pages. And then there was also the deal about not having that stuff in the database about the player from last year, when that should have been able to be drawn upon by the entirety of the NCAA to look at and use as a precedent. That cost a lot of money to the NCAA to fight this in court, and they're fighting it still.
Mm-hmm.
That's just an injunction. The trial is still. Now, I'd be surprised if they didn't freaking drop the case if they had a brain in their head. But it wouldn't surprise me if they don't drop it, because they're idiots at the NCAA. Yeah. They're just idiots. It makes no sense.
Yeah, because that it wasn't like this, but in '81 when two lawyers from Oklahoma City fought the SEC for antitrust. And they took along with them the University of Georgia and University of Oklahoma, and because of our TV rights. Well, it just wasn't for Oklahoma. It wasn't for Oklahoma either. What really started this was
that's for them to be, because of all that not being able, the regional games weren't coming on and all that stuff. You had to watch whatever they put on.
Yes. Right. So in 1984 we finally won it, but it took going to a standing judge in Oklahoma City who was actually from New Mexico. Judge Burciago wrote a 90-page report saying, yeah, this is wrong. They go to Denver, Colorado. Yeah, this is wrong. And they finally end up at the Supreme Court. And it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and they said, yeah, we're going to give you your TV rights. But the lawyers told both athletic directors at Oklahoma and Georgia, guys, you better keep your nose clean because you done won this. And he said the NCAA. And sure enough, that next year, Oklahoma and Georgia got put on probation.
Mm-hmm. That was something, I think it was Sooner for Life he was concerned about that on Thursday, that this is going to hurt them. And like, because of what they were also threatening that stuff about Trinidad, about, coming back on you after the fact and all that. The only thing is that we're in a new time. And until, I think that the major thing that this pointed to me, in my mind, is that all these things, if you're not noticing at this point that it's a joke that the NCAA, can you imagine all the money that they're paying? There's 71 total lawsuits in the last year, or I think 14 months is what they said. For the last 14 months, there's been 71 lawsuits filed over eligibility against the NCAA. 71. They've only got through about half of them.
Yeah.
Imagine what that costs the NCAA to fight that.
Jeez.
More money than I got.
and what it's all about is that they don't. And think about this for a second too. They want to, they're talking about all this stuff about being able to. You're wanting to be able to control these athletes' movement. You hear Urban Meyer saying stuff like, you should be able to transfer once, but only once, no matter what. Okay, well, that sounds like that sounds like something that you can do with an employee, but you don't want to make them an employee.
Mm-hmm.
Get a CBA. Get a CBA.
Yep.
Until these athletes have a say in the rules, this is going to continue.
Yep.
And it's costing so much money. Imagine the money that these universities would get to keep in their pocket.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's wow.
Just wild, right? Just wild.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we've been going on for almost
an
hour and 20 minutes. Jason, I appreciate you coming on with me today, my friend. And
hey, man, thanks for having me. I wouldn't have missed it, man. I'm glad to see you back on the airways, brother.
Hey, I'm glad to be back. Are you going to be on Monday?
Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna do Monday morning with I'm gonna get a hold of Boganowski and see if he's gonna be around to do it, but we're gonna restart back up. I hadn't been doing it for a couple of weeks, man. So yeah, I'll shoot you guys an invite and let you know, and we'll jump back at it on Monday morning.
And before we get out of here, Jason, kindly tell people where you're located at here on YouTube.
Yes, sir. It's Hall of Fame College Football. It's at HOF-CFB right here on the YouTube. I'm back. So this is actually the third show I've done just over the weekend. So since Thursday, but so excited to be back. I've been out for about 3 weeks. Had to get some stuff handled. Little vacation of the mind. So glad to be back doing it. But man, yeah, we'll be back on for Big Monday. and we'll kind of see kind of how everything kind of works out over the next few months. The plan is to kind of make some changes to what we're doing, but excited about what's coming up, man. Excited about what's coming up.
Guys, if you ain't already subscribed, jump over to my brother Jason's channel, show him some love, subscribe, join his channel. Jason has a lot of great content he does with K Chris and Chris Mason and other college football podcasters out there. Show him some love. Bishop, always good seeing you, my brother.
Absolutely.
Hey, let Bishop talk about the one he's been on lately too.
Yeah, let's hear it, Bishop.
Yeah, just first and foremost, thank you again. Appreciate it, Legend. Yeah, I've been on Piano Man show. Piano Man, and myself, we call it the gumbo chefs, and it's 8:00 in the morning.
You hadn't told me that one. I didn't know that part.
And so, hey, this two, all of them are Bama, and I'm the lone Oklahoma Sooner holding it down. And but I get a kick out of it because I already know they're gonna give me some Zataran for my gumbo, so it's all good. But more than anything, we get to talk real about ball. And you're more than welcome. Come on over. It's called the Long Run Show with Piano Man and Bishop. You're more than welcome to come over. 8:00 in the morning.
Y'all get over there and show my Bishop. He's my co-host with me and Big Mike Boganowski on Mondays. Jason, we'd love to have you over there sometime when you're not busy.
Yeah.
Happy to do it anytime. Let me know.
Yeah.
Okay, brother. And y'all can find. I'm just a Sooner legend. I drink my own bath water and don't know shit about good apple butter.
Don't believe none of that.
Worthless as hen shit on a pump handle, but I mean well. But y'all
awesome.
Y'all can catch me here at Sooner Legends Podcast. We're up to 808 subs. I'm going to start growing the channel and building it again. If you don't mind, share me out there in the universe. If you haven't already, subscribe. For as little $1.99 a month, you can become a member of Sooner Legends Podcast. We have a good time on this show, as you can see. So until we meet again, we will be here, me, Bishop, and Big Mike, and possibly Brother Jason. We will be here Monday at 3:30 Central, 4:30 Eastern. Y'all have a great weekend. This is the Legend. We will see you on the backside. God bless. And horns down. Put them down, Bishop. Boomer.
Sooner.
Y'all take care, gentlemen.
All right, then. Thank you for your time.